yourself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on that thought.
Hi, and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Delighted to welcome NewcastleWorld.com's top man, Liam Kennedy. How are you, mate?
All good, mate. You?
Yeah, very good. And a different show this week. We've got an Alan Shearer special because the 260 dinner is looming the 7th of April. You will be on stage interviewing our greatest ever goal scorer and, of course, the Premier League's greatest ever goal scorer. And it's a celebration of his career for one night only at the Barracks at St James's Park in Newcastle. Tickets are available still from the 260 dinner. .co.uk and well worth getting yourself along to this dinner. We did the 206 dinner, which was absolutely fantastic, and this one promises to be more of the same and a bit more. And we have got a raffle ongoing as well to win a pair of tickets. This will be the 4th pair of tickets we've given away as a table of 10 with NUFC Matters name on it. So to enter this raffle, simply go to nufcmatters.com and pay £5, and you could be in the chance of winning £520 worth of tickets. And you've got a 99 to 1 chance of winning those tickets. So get yourself onto the website and do not delay. The winner will be announced at the end of the week. So this show is all about talking about Alan's career at Newcastle. And I guess we start at the beginning. And that was the day that we found out that this man was going to be pulling on a black and white shirt of Newcastle United and not the red of Manchester United, which of course was the other team that was baying for his signature. What did you make of it, Liam, just as a fan?
As a fan, I was very young at the time. I was about similar age to my son now, about 9 years old. I remember that Euro 96 was my first tournament, really. I would say that I really, really remembered vividly. So to come kind of off the back of that and sign a legend like Alan Shearer, the greatest striker on the planet at the time, was just incredible. My memories of it, I remember being at my nana's house and my dad sort of knocking off work early and just wanting to get down there. It was one of those moments that you had to be there. You had to see it. You had to picture it. You had to. When I was much later on, it was like the takeover. You had to be there. It was a moment everyone just gravitated towards St James's Park. There was a little bit. Look, it's one that doesn't reflect well on history, but there was a similar feeling when Michael Owen signed as well. There was a lot of feeling that everyone wanted to be there. But that's the type of pull that this football club has to have gone out and broken the world record as it was at the time, to sign the greatest footballer on the planet, who happened to be a Geordie as well. It was testament to the mindset, the thinking that was around the football club at that time. They wanted to be the best, they strived to be the best, and they got very close to being the best. It was very, very close, and Alan Shearer played a major part in Newcastle United's history. Didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve at Newcastle United. Came here, didn't just come here to break records and wear the black and white shirt. Came here to win trophies as well. I think that was the feeling at the time, that he came here and wanted to lift some silverware at St James's Park, and got close on a number of occasions, got to FA Cup finals, etc., but couldn't quite do it. And I think that's one thing that maybe we'll look back on and say, could we have achieved more, and could we have done better in that time? But that's probably an argument for another day. Alan Shearer was the epitome of Newcastle United for 10 years or so after that. A legend in the game, my hero, a player that just having him around the place and having him on the park, you just knew the ball drops in the box. There was literally nobody for years. There was nobody who wanted the ball to drop in the box other than him, because he just didn't miss. He was a brilliant finisher from inside, outside. The little free kick routines he used to have with like Nobby Solano on the edge of the box, where he would literally take the net off with a little jink or a little touch from Nobby. Penalties, barely ever missed them. Always hit the back of the net. On the best in the business at taking penalties. And a leader, physical, strong, goal scorer, just led the club. Was the epitome of Newcastle United for so long. And it's good to see now that we're seeing the legend that he is honoured at St James's Park again, because that's what he deserves. He's the greatest goal scorer that this football club has ever had. He's possibly the greatest goal scorer this club will ever have. And we need to honour him in such a way. And that's why for me it's such an honour to be asked by you, Steve, to be involved in this process and involved in celebrating the legend that is Alan Shearer. Not only at Newcastle United, though, talking about 260 dinner, this is about the goals that he scored beyond that as well. The 260 goals that he graced the Premier League. And we're looking at something now where it might be broken. We're looking at something like Harry Kane who might break this record, but it might not, because we've been on this road before. We've talked about Wayne Rooney, we expected to smash it. Michael Owen at one point, he'll smash it. Harry Kane's probably going to get the closest anybody's going to get, but it's a tough one. He's still got a long way to go. And injuries always play a big part in strikers, particularly as they get older. And I think that's going to be telling. But a legend in the game, I've said this numerous times already, but I can't describe him in any other way.
No, definitely not. And that day that he signed that photograph I showed at the top of the program was fantastic. And I mean, there was a lot of kids obviously bunked off school. I remember it was raining, drizzling, and it was just the murmur of excitement as we waited for him to sign on the dotted line and then to be introduced to the crowd by the local DJ and local celebrity at the time, Alan Robson. And it was just fantastic to see him, the massive crowds standing outside waiting to greet Alan Shearer. And I mean, the press conference, which of course took place inside the ground, I was lucky enough to be invited inside, to witness that. We had tickets to sit in the Gallagher end, me and my dad. And we just sat on in complete disbelief as Alan Shearer talked about being a sheet metal worker's son from Newcastle, and the smiles on Sir John Hall's face and Kevin Keegan's face really tell their own story there, Liam, don't they?
Very much so. It was an amazing moment, probably one of the biggest moments in Newcastle United's history. And I'm just looking at that picture now, and you can see the pure joy, the joy in all of their faces. Alan Shearer to be coming home, Kevin Keegan to be delivering the kind of quality, the caliber of player that he was desperate to get in at Newcastle United, and John Hall having done being a massive part of the deal and financing the deal. It was a huge moment, and one that often gets forgotten about. It was a long time ago, and we can't be like these type of people who just constantly run over the good old days. But the gravity of what happened that day reverberated around the football world. That was Newcastle United stamping their mark on world football, saying we're here and we're a force. It never really got much better than that, to be honest. That was kind of the pinnacle, wasn't it? That was the pinnacle. It never really got much better after that, but it was the promise and it was the hope, and it's that kind of hope that we are desperately hoping for now. That we're starting to stamp our authority on world football now. And there will be an Alan Shearer type signing somewhere down the line, I'm sure, in the future. But will they ever score as many goals as that man and resonate so much with the Geordie public? It's a tough task for anybody coming in, taking that number 9 and thinking you can emulate an Alan Shearer, because the man himself as a footballer and as a character is just the epitome of the Geordie hero. Yeah,
certainly is the epitome of a Geordie hero. There's no doubt about that. I mean, his first home game saw a trademark free kick, and of course that was against Wimbledon at St James's Park on quite a warm night. And there's the goal there. There's the free kick. That was the beginning of a wonderful relationship between Alan and the supporters at St James's, wasn't it?
It was, and it was a perfect way to mark your home debut as well, wasn't it? As a striker, any striker will tell you, get yourself off the mark. But he didn't it wasn't one that went in off his backside. It wasn't a close range header or anything like that. We're talking about a top class free kick. And I think that's one thing that often gets overlooked when people now, you have a lot of comparisons. You talk about the type of player that Alan Shearer was. That Alan Shearer, before the major injuries that he had in the years that followed, that Alan Shearer could score any type of goal from anywhere. He would play on the shoulder and go in behind You see a lot of his goals rolling back from when he played at Blackburn. He could score. He was physical. He was strong. He was quick. He could do anything. And free kicks, an absolute clean, brilliant striker of a ball. Could curl free kicks in. Could literally take the leather off the ball. Could do anything. And I think that's why he is so highly rated by anybody that played with or against him. Is because they know how good he was. Starting in those Southampton days, Blackburn, and then that first year or two at Newcastle United as well, before injuries really transformed the type of player that he had to become.
Yeah, I mean the feeling of scoring a goal for Alan as well. I've been lucky enough to interview him on stage on more than one occasion. It's something that he loved. He thrived off it. The atmosphere. We often talk about the Newcastle United fans being like the 12th man, but he seemed to thrive off that as well.
Who wouldn't? I mean, who wouldn't? It's your public, it's your people, it's the club that he supported or supports ultimately as well. It must be an amazing feeling, a really amazing feeling to be delivering that kind of joy to your people, who you love, for your football club. A very, very privileged position, I'm sure he'll admit himself, but his own qualities and his own ability got him into that position. Just an incredible footballer with an incredible array of skills that I think often, when people take, I was hinting at before, when people do these comparisons and talk about all the best Premier League strikers, recently you've heard a lot of people talk of Aguero, you've heard a lot of people talk of Thierry Henry, you hear a lot of people talk of Didier Drogba, all these type of players who are more contemporary and have totally different skill sets. The thing that people overlook about Alan Shearer is he had them all. He had every single one that you talk about. Henry's speed, he was quick, of course, but Henry's speed and ability to just curl balls in, score type of goals. Alan Shearer could do that most of the time, do that in his sleep. You had other players like Aguero with that real poacher's instinct, that ability to lead the line. Incredible. Alan Shearer did it. Alan Shearer did it in his sleep again. All these players, the physicality, the ability to cause havoc in central defences with Didier Drogba and others. Again, Alan Shearer, it was bread and butter to him. He could do all of it, and that's to me why he is the ultimate striker, the best that the Premier League's ever seen. And even with Harry Kane, I find it tough to. Harry Kane's he's a better player than Shearer in some ways, and that he does a lot of the dropping in and 10 work that Shearer could do and did do a lot of. He would pull out wide and he'd be the best crosser of the ball, and the bloke you'd want on the end of it was Alan Shearer, but he was crossing it. He could drop in, he could play passes, he could link the play, he could do everything. But I think the best player that the Premier League seen is Alan Shearer, and I always think he's underrated by the more modern football fan who didn't follow and see what he was like at his absolute peak.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much controversy in Alan Shearer's career, and but there was a couple of moments which often stand out for me. First of all, this one, Uriah Rennie sending Alan Shearer off. Now, Alan was a typical old-fashioned centre forward, but that was a farce. That, and there's Alan Thompson having a chat with him, and Colin Calderwood, of course, who ended up being Chris Hughton's assistant at Newcastle in that wonderful promotion season. But yeah, Uriah Rennie making a name for himself that day, wasn't he?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, and it's one of those, you talk about controversial moments. I think there's one controversial moment that particularly springs to mind. I think a lot of people talk about, but that one in particular, it was one that stuck for years when Newcastle United fans. As soon as you seen Uriah Rennie's name on the list of the referees, the team sheet before the game, it would bring about a collective groan around St James's Park. Although I'll be absolutely honest, I think the reputation that he had for flashing cards, etc., and what often people deemed as poor officiating, I think that collective groan resonated around most football grounds in the Premier League at that time, along with other referees too. But yeah, it was a really controversial decision, and one that stuck, and one that sort of built. And I always remember every time you seen his name on the team sheet beforehand, it did bring about, not him the day, and it stuck with him. And it was probably mostly down to that really controversial decision in Shearer's career.
Yeah, it definitely was. Another one, which of course we remember, is this one, and it's one that he was actually charged with by the FA. Allegations of him kicking Neil Lennon in the face, something that often gets replayed on TV on some of those programs where they pick up on bad fouls. But I mean, what was your take on that, Liam, at the time?
That was a shocker, wasn't it? It was a shocker. It was a real shocker, Of course, he was England captain at the time. And I remember a lot of the talk at the time was he only gets away with it because he's the England captain. And I do think there is a little bit in that. I think there is a little bit of fair wind for the likes of England nationals, high profile players. They do get a decent deal. I don't know if it's conscious or subconscious, but they do tend to. And I just don't think he's getting away with that if he produces that kind of foul today. Although we can't really say, would VAR even look at it again? It's hard to even know with the way that they use it these days. But I think even he'd admit himself that was a little bit naughty. And just we'll laugh about it now, but it is genuine thuggery really on the football pitch. But he got away with it. And I think it did bring about a lot of talk of if that's why he got away with it, was because of having the armband in England. But yeah, it's hardly one that really tarnishes his career in particular, not with the amount of goals he scored.
No, definitely not. Another memorable moment is this one. And there was no love lost between Alan Shearer and Roy Keane, both captains of their respective teams. And this particular moment, it's definitely aged well. It's become a meme, I think, on various social media outputs. But that was just that day. I just remember Keane squaring up to Shearer, and obviously there's a very famous terror song come from that particular moment as well. But yeah, that was just Shearer being Shearer, wasn't it?
The atmosphere that day was electric, wasn't it? It was absolutely electric that day. And it was just like, oh, what's going on here? And it was just the way that Shearer, proud, chest out, stands up to Roy Keane, the antagonist. Shearer got a real rise out of him, and there's the comedy swing of a punch, isn't there, from Roy Keane, and Shearer just defiantly standing, batting it away, and it's a piece of St James's Park theatre. Really, it was something that really sticks in my mind from a young fan, a young season ticket holder at the time. Just absolute joy at that moment. That not only did we go and beat Manchester United, which we did that day, that it was just we'd even wound up Roy Keane and he'd been sent off. It was just pure drama. You do have there are those moments. I mean, going past that one, you do feel like that sometimes. Of course, there's the one when Jose Enrique had to go in goal. Sometimes football does just throw up these moments of absolute drama, and St James's Park does gravitate to those moments of drama. But that was a particularly key one for me when I was a young Newcastle United fan. Probably only had my season ticket a couple of years by that point. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely reveling in the frustration and anger of that Manchester United team that day when we went and beat them with Sir Bobby Robson as the manager.
Yeah. Managers come and go, as we know, at Newcastle United. One such manager at St James's Park got off to a good start with Alan Shearer. Here we see him in happier moments with Duncan Ferguson modelling the new strip. But when it went sour, Liam. And nobody will forget this night when Alan Shearer and Duncan Ferguson both started on the bench. And a young Sunderland fan called Paul Robinson started up front. Ruud Gullit signing his own resignation note, but in a rather memorable fashion.
Yeah, he did. It was a bold move, wasn't it? A bold move to go down that road. Of course, didn't turn out that way. The way he would have liked, of course, with the 2-1 defeat at St James's Park against the Mackhams. And quite incredible, really, that period that signed some okay players. Probably, there was a real feel good factor when he came to the football club, Ruud Gullit, that things could change and things could get better. they didn't. It was a bit of a disaster. The start that the start of that season, how it ended for Ruud Gullit. And of course it was, in many ways it was a blessing in disguise, of course, because the door was then open to go and get Bobby Robson from then on in. But some quite incredible decisions, and not only was it Alan Shearer and of course Duncan Ferguson on the bench that day, but there was the players who were cut out of the squad as well. Like Rob Lee, a good friend of Alan's, and just totally cut out the squad. A fantastic professional at Newcastle United who'd done nearly 10 years at the football club and been an incredible servant for the football club, to be just cut out like that because he didn't suit what Gullit wanted to do was really cutthroat. And I think that was one of the key decisions as well that he made, that just you couldn't come here and go on like that. He couldn't, and he didn't last very long, and rightly so. Didn't really have a managerial career. I'm not even sure he took another job after that, did he? He didn't have a managerial career of note, and it's no surprise given the way that he conducted himself at Newcastle United.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You've already touched on Sir Bobby Robson, and of course his arrival at St James's Park turned Alan Shearer's career around. And I mean, under Gullit, there was talk of Shearer potentially leaving for a big money move to Liverpool, but Gullit left after that memorable night on Tyneside when Sunderland won the derby and Shearer and Duncan Ferguson didn't play. And the first home game that Bobby Robson took charge of was against Sheffield Wednesday, and Alan managed to score 5. Yes, that is 5 goals in an 8-0 win. There he is celebrating with Gary Speed, Rob Lee, Paul Robinson at St James's Park on that day. I mean, Bobby Robson came in and got things right straight away, didn't he? And he got Shearer playing again. Probably got him another couple of seasons, which he may not have had because he changed the style of play.
Yeah, that kit, by the way, is just chef's kiss for me. I absolutely love it. So no, it was what an incredible achievement as well. The game previous to that, where Robson was he was already appointed, was Chelsea, wasn't it? They went down there and got beat 1-0. Am I thinking that correctly? Yeah. Then came at home, first home game. It's just it's that Newcastle United thing, isn't it? It's that the will, when this club is all when the wind's all blowing the right direction, when everybody is together and moving in on the same sequence and same movement, the crowd, the ownership, the players, everything. It's. I still don't think we've touched on the potential of what this club can actually achieve, and that was one of those days where it just was just right. Everything was right. Everything, all the ingredients were there for this performance, and the players produced it, and they absolutely blew away Sheffield Wednesday that day, who ended up getting relegated that year. But Newcastle United were staring down the barrel themselves in the early days of that season. And to have gone to a relegation rival and brought a relegation rival up and absolutely smashed them to pieces at St James's Park, with Alan getting 5. It was just dreamland. And I think from then on in, we knew something could be achieved. Of course, that season only ended up with a lower mid-table finish, which is kind of what we've come to expect from Newcastle United in the Premier League era, really. Bar the odd glance upwards, the odd amazing season and a couple of relegation seasons, it's mostly been we've lived our lives in the Premier League from 13, anywhere from 10 to 13, really. That tends to be our position. But then the season after that was the one that really took off, and that's where you're kind of talking about. That's when Alan Shearer, for me, really came into his own as a Newcastle United player, and it was a different player then to what he was when he first came. But those goals, the goals when we finished 4th that season, playing up front with Bellamy, gave him Craig Bellamy's signing. I'm probably ruining your questions, yes, Steve. Rolling on in excitement, but when those signings of Rob Air and Bellamy, when you linked it in with the drive from Gary Speed in the middle and Norberto Solano off the right, and it brought a whole new dynamic to his game, and he was a different player. Like I said, probably not as exciting, not as gung ho, didn't have that pace, didn't have that turn, but still an incredible finisher, and almost became a bit of a target man almost for Bellamy to run off, for Kieran Dyer to run off, for Robert to run off, and scored a lot of goals in the process as well. And like I say, I can't say enough, an incredible footballer.
No, definitely not. I mean, he had some great partnerships. We'll come on to England in a little moment, but Teddy Sheringham with England, Chris Sutton, of course, part of the infamous SAS at Blackburn before he came to Newcastle, winning the Premier League as he did. His only top league trophy. But the partnership we all remember at Newcastle, of course, is that with Les Ferdinand. And Les, of course, was Newcastle's number 9 when Alan Shearer arrived at Newcastle. They had a subsequent conversation about the shirt, and Alan was given the number 9 shirt. There was talk at one point of Les Ferdinand being given number 99, so then we would have had 999 up front, but it never came to bed. But just tell us a little bit about that partnership between Alan Shearer and Les Ferdinand.
In terms of Premier League strikers at that time, you probably couldn't have picked a more perfect partnership. It really was. It was the absolute dynamic duo. It was one that it could blow away defences, and it's a shame that the two didn't get to play together for longer at Newcastle United. It was a very small period of history. It was just the one season, wasn't it? And it's a shame because Alan and Les were just unplayable as a front two. Just Ferdinand with his ability to leap above any defender at 5'10". He could leap above anybody. He could go in behind. Just everything about Ferdinand was dynamic, and Shearer had all of that and more. Just a brilliant partnership, and one, like I say, it's a shame that we never got to see a lot more of that. Les Ferdinand massively scored a lot of Premier League goals for a lot of clubs, but it's just a shame he didn't get more. I think he got about 50 odd for Newcastle. And I think if he'd stayed at Newcastle for another 2 or 3 years, we'll be talking about Les Ferdinand in the top 3 or 4 Premier League goal scorers rather than a little bit further down the list.
Yeah, fantastic partnership, and scored some fantastic goals. Just a pity it was broken up a little bit too soon. Big shout out to our sponsors, Spider VPN, for all the internet security. Google Spider VPN. They come up at the top of the Google search list. They are the boys to trust. Big thanks to skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 0191 389 7245, and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp, and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks also to Arcot Interiors for all your kitchen necessities. They are the boys to trust. Google them. They come up at the top of the search list. And they are also based on Heaton Road in Newcastle. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. Thanks to Cleekai, meet the new Game Over screen, drop into a CleeRun device near you, available on Apple Store, Google Play, and CleeRun.game. Thanks to Jab Signature, jabsignature.co.uk, and to Media Arts for all the video help that they give us. If you want to subscribe, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can subscribe for free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up under the video to like the video, click share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and on other podcast providers. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show. If you want to become a member, then it's a £25 one-off fee. You get a cup, a pen, a membership card, and a scarf. You just need to go to NUFCmatters.com to register, and you will be entered into a monthly draw. We give away some fantastic prizes on this channel. If you want to join using a QR code, then hover your phone over the QR code and it will take you straight to that page. If you do subscribe, you do get a car sticker. And to get your car sticker, to register for it, just go to NUFCmatters.com and you will receive that from John at QTech. We also help the food bank on here, so go to NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk. The match day bucket is operational all year round. Make a donation to the guys and help the food bank in the northeast. We have a live event, of course, at the Marlborough Social Club coming up Saturday, the 9th of April, 12 noon. Tickets are a tenner from newcastlelegends.com. If you are a member, you will get a pair of free tickets. So please use your membership and get in touch with John at NUFCmatters.com to claim your free tickets. Also, enter your Alan Shearer raffle, a $5 for a ticket, NUFCmatters.com, to win a pair of tickets for the Alan Shearer event on the 7th of April that Liam Kennedy is hosting. And 260dinner.co.uk is where you can buy your tickets or a table, 260dinner.co.uk. I guess the biggest disappointment for Alan Shearer is the FA Cup finals, isn't it? The two semi-finals, of course, Liam, we remember with immense pride. Yeah. And Newcastle took over Old Trafford not once but twice, back-to-back years. There's his goal against one of his goals against Tottenham, and then of course that the goal against Sheffield United in a rather tight game. And I mean, yeah, those memories are ones that you remember. But the cup finals were very, very, they were just big letdowns, weren't they? Against two teams who were chasing not one, not two, but in Manchester United's case, 3 trophies.
Yeah, I think it was 4 times. 4 times he went to Wembley when Newcastle United. Never on the winning side. Took a battering in the Community Shield that first summer. I think that was the hope that everyone thought, we'll get our own back. Went down, invaded Wembley that summer, and came back empty-handed again. Same again happened, and of course, in the 2 cup finals, consecutive cup finals. You showed the semi-finals were the up point, the positives of that one. You show that the still of that goal against Tottenham. That's probably one of the best. That's probably up there as one of his best goals. Just the way that he hits it and the way that it sort of swings away and curves into the top corner and the whole place erupts. But yeah, the finals themselves, very, very disappointing affairs. In fairness, played against 2 very, very good sides, but never really looked like getting anything, winning either of them, which was the biggest disappointment of both. Newcastle fans, obviously, it will be amazing to think we get the opportunity to do something like that again, because it's been a long, long wait. It's been a long, long wait to go anywhere like that. I mean, I'm thinking back, the last time would have been when we went to Cardiff, wouldn't it? In 2005 for another battering in the semi-final. This time off Manchester United. I was there, of course, as well. It was a brilliant, brilliant weekend, but a terrible, terrible day. And I think that's probably the feeling that most Newcastle United fans who've been to any of these showpieces, whether it be semi-finals or finals, is we had a great weekend. We had a good day out, but we didn't come back with anything. And hopefully, I think Shearer will agree with this as well, that hopefully that can change in the not too distant future. But I was there in '99 with the Rob Lee goal, and that to me, almost more than the finals of the previous 2 years, that to me is the missed opportunity, because you beat Chelsea that day, you played Aston Villa in the final, having played Arsenal and Manchester United, Arsenal and Manchester United in the finals before. Who were at the peak of their abilities, playing an Aston Villa side in that final would have been, I think, any team. The team that won that, and Chelsea did win it that year, the team that won that was always going to win the FA Cup that year, and it should have been Newcastle United. That was the one where they did go to Wembley, and you look at it and say they probably should have won that game. Of the other 3 previous to that in the years gone, they didn't deserve anything out of any of the games.
Definitely not. I mean, we are lucky as well to have Alan Shearer in his prime at Newcastle. He obviously, as we mentioned, got a couple of horrific injuries, but as well as doing his bit for Newcastle, he was doing his bit for the country as well. And I think the game that really stands out for me is the game in Euro '96 against Holland. I mean, it was a year of celebration for for England. It was Euro '96. We were playing it at home, 3 lions on the shirt, etc. And Holland was a game I think we looked at as if it was going to be the one where we were going to get found out. But I mean, we romped to a 4-1 win, and Shearer played his part in that game. It was fantastic to know that he was our striker doing the business for our country.
But it was the real game that ignited that tournament, wasn't it, for England? Because it of course, you had the Scotland goal in the game previous as well from Gaza, and beating Scotland was a big moment. But as you see, look at that group, and the Netherlands were the toughest game that England had in that group, and they made it look easy. And it was the style and the way that those goals were scored, the lovely look, just touch and pass to Shearer for that goal, the best goal of them all in the day. It was brilliant, and that. The emotion, for anybody who's not old enough, or anybody who didn't experience it, the emotion, the feeling. I've known nothing like it until probably the last tournament. We're having young kids myself, where they start to feel football and feel the mood around the country, and with the last European Championships. But that was something special. There was a real swagger about England then, a swagger about the way they did their business. And again, it's another missed opportunity. They should have won that tournament. They should have won that tournament. They should have beat Germany in that semi-final. And I think it's another one I was talking about. The winner of Newcastle Chelsea gets through that year. The winner of England Germany wins that tournament. They would have won that tournament and did, of course. A real shame, because it would have been nice to see players of the quality you mentioned. Sheringham, you mentioned Alan Shearer. You go through that whole team from front to back. Seaman, Adams. The whole team front to back. They were class. Real quality footballers. A good, talented squad, but just couldn't quite get it over the line. And I think that'll change as well. I do think this group of England players, I think, has got a cracking chance of breaking that duck and winning something at Qatar this year. And it would be a fantastic thing for English football. But the emotion and the feeling, it was a movement. It was something special. It was a real special summer, that. And a lot of talk about Shearer, framing it around Shearer was, we all know that he'd struggled for goals in an England shirt previous to that. And in the run-up to that tournament was quite a barren spell. All the talk had been about, is he the right man to lead the line at Euro 96? End up the best goal scorer at the tournament. He was the best player at the tournament. And then, of course, the rest is history, as St. James's Park came calling.
Yeah, it did. Shearer loved nothing better than scoring against the Mackems. What Geordie wouldn't like doing that. And, even when he was bandaged from head to toe, he still managed to upset the crowd. That's one of my favourite Shearer photographs. Just look at the venom and hatred in some of those Sunderland fans' faces. It makes me laugh. But, of course, Shearer's last game, of course, was quite memorable. We were 1-0 down, but then obviously turned the game around. Shearer got that wonderful penalty, which turned out to be his last goal at St James's, for Newcastle at the Stadium of Light.
And Albert Luque wrapped it up, didn't he?
Exactly.
So it was incredible day, 1-0 down at half time, and to turn it around like that. It was a shame, because he got injured in that game and never came back. Probably couldn't have been around for that game. Of course, he was going to retire, then he didn't retire, and he gave another year, and it was what a year it was. A bloke who consistently, I don't know the averages of this, but at Newcastle United would have averaged at least between 15 to 20 goals every single season that he played. That's the sign of a top Premier League goal scorer, because even signing a player now, what does that cost you? What does it cost you to sign a centre forward who scores 10 to 15 goals in the Premier League now? It would cost you upwards of 50, 60 million to get players like that. It just makes you think what Alan Shearer would be worth at his prime in the current market. It'd be astronomical. It'd be astronomical to sign a player like that now. You'd be talking hundreds of millions to get a player like that. And it was just amazing that time to have. He wasn't always playing in a good side as well. Scored average 15 to 20 goals in a side sometimes that was fighting, flirting with relegation in certain seasons. Just shows a testament to how good the player actually was.
Before that game, of course, he'd broken Jackie Milburn's record, which had stood since the 1950s. And, to do that, at any level is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? And I mean, there's the Evening Chronicle covering that particular goal and coverage. I mean, 2 to 3 pages just on that. But I mean, it was a fantastic achievement, that, wasn't it?
Oh, huge! It was unbelievable. To have scored it at home at St James's Park, it was all written, wasn't it? And he talks about that himself in the interview that you did with him recently about not wanting that final whistle to go. Of course, I was there that day. You would have been there as well, Steve. It was electric. It was such a moment in history, a moment in time, and one that we're probably never likely to see again. To be honest, getting a player to go and break any Newcastle United record, we'd have to sign a top striker who would be guaranteed to play for the next 10 years at Newcastle United, and that really would take some doing to sign a player and have that. So I think, yeah, it's a moment in time that we might never see again, and it was one that will live long in the memory for anybody who was in and around St James's Park that day.
His testimonial, of course, was groundbreaking as well. We'd seen Niall Quinn at Sunderland donate his entire testimonial fee to charity, and Alan Shearer followed in suit with his. And it was a memorable occasion. I mean, I was there. Just a little taster, really. I mean, the photographs probably don't do it justice, but you'll be able to see footage on YouTube, etc. Just the amount of people there, obviously 52,000 Geordies coming to pay homage to the man who had, like Liam said, you knew he was going to score every time he was on the pitch. He never missed. He was never afraid to miss if he did. And I just remember that night with fondness. The club went, over the top to say thank you for 10 great years. And there was a tinge of sadness, but I just remember the noise at that game. And testimonials, Liam, they're testimonials. They're not competitive games. There's a little bit of competitiveness there, I guess, from people who maybe don't play football, on a regular basis now. But everybody turned out for Alan that night. And it was a fitting end as well. Alan getting a penalty to took the ball into the back of the net and Newcastle to win the game 3-2. But it was a hell of a tribute to him, with Ant and Deck on the pitch, of course, introducing them before the big game.
Yeah, and it was a fitting tribute to a legend of the game, a legend of Newcastle United, a legend of the city of Newcastle. And that's what we come together again to celebrate in a couple of weeks' time, is celebrate not just Alan Shearer's goals for Newcastle United, but what he brought to English football and what he brought to the city of Newcastle as well. The pride, the passion, the joy, everything. And all of that was encapsulated on that day. A testimonial to somebody who'd delivered not quite the trophies or the silverware that everyone wants, but delivered dreams for Newcastle United fans, because we're all dreamers. We are all dreamers. We all dream of better days, and I think he epitomised that he was Newcastle United made their mark and showed that they can go and sign and get the very best that there was in world football at that time, and he happened to be a Geordie as well. It was such an incredible career, an incredible moment, and a fitting tribute that night against Celtic.
Alan obviously hung up his boots after the career-ending injury, but the big shock, I guess, to Newcastle fans was the appointment of him as a manager. And Alan Shearer was in the dugout, but this time as manager. And what did you make of his tenure at Newcastle? There wasn't many games. Obviously, he came in, and then the much publicised departure when Mike Ashley didn't actually have the decency to ring him. What did you make of him taking up the job? Was it the right man at the wrong time?
I still stand by the fact that I think it's impossible to judge him. Impossible to judge him on that little period there. It was too late. I think the fate was probably already sealed that season. That it wasn't a good. There wasn't a good squad not in terms of quality, but in terms of mentality and balance. I think it was too late to come in and try and turn that kind of thing around. I think you see that with other managers. Rafa Benitez was probably definitely the most decorated manager this football club's ever seen. Couldn't do the same in a very short period of time. It's hard to change a losing mentality at a football club, and very hard to change it with no managerial experience. He answered the call for his club, showed the pride, showed the commitment, and came and tried to do a job, and was within a whisker of doing it as well, to be honest. If they just won one more game in that little run-in, if there hadn't been certain things didn't go their way in the last couple of games of that season, then we could have been talking about a totally different setup. But it is what it is. I think it would have been nice to have seen him given the opportunity to have carried the club forward and build on what had happened previously, make his own mark. But it's hard to disagree as well that Chris Hughton did a fantastic job in bringing the football club back up. So maybe it was for the best, and it'd be really interesting to know his thoughts on that and what he really thinks about that period, and whether he thinks ultimately it was the right thing, or he would still have loved to have been given the opportunity to really make his mark at that football club, because it must have been a really tough one.
Does it surprise you he brought Ian Dowie in as his number 2? I think most of us expected like Rob Lee or Warren Barton or somebody.
It didn't make a lot of sense at the time. Still maybe doesn't now, but I think maybe he wanted somebody with Premier League managerial experience to lean off, somebody that he knew and relied upon, could trust. The only explanation I can give for it, and I can see the mentality if that was what it was, but it was a surprise one. It was strange, and it still to this day looks a little bit strange, but I'm sure he's got his reasons.
Yeah, and of course, I guess the big question to ask him is, would he ever consider donning the suit again and taking up that job as Newcastle United manager, but under these owners, if a vacancy ever came about?
I think we probably know the answer to that now, don't we? I think we probably know. I think he's quite happy in what he does, but it'd be really interesting to know whether, if circumstance came around again and he was offered the chance, would he do it? I don't, for a start, think he probably would be offered. He's moved on in his life, and football's moved on. But I think for me, it's a crying shame that somebody like Alan Shearer, who is still, you go anywhere in the world and mention Newcastle United, and Alan Shearer's name's not far behind. I think it's a real crying shame that somebody like Alan Shearer doesn't have an ambassadorial role at the football club. Of course, he's pays his bills with his incredible pundit TV work, etc. See him on telly all over the world, but it would be nice for him to be pushing the NUFC brand around the world as well as club ambassador. And that's one thing that I really want to see happen over the next, talk about big developments on this, that, and the other with the newer ones, but I want to see them not only bring the Bar's name back to Alan Shearer's name, Shearer's above it. I want to see them bring him in an official capacity, because it's a talent wasted, in my opinion, not to use the global pull of a player like that to promote the brand of Newcastle United in a period where Newcastle United is going to have to do some catch-up work on the world scene with regards to their image.
Yeah, well, at least we have Shearer's bar back at St James's Park, which is fantastic. And his statue, of course, moved back into its. We're going to get moved back into its rightful place inside the ground. So if that's all we have, at least we've got our memories, which we've shared, hopefully well with you today. Of course, the 260dinner.co.uk is where you buy your tickets. Liam, how much are you looking forward to sharing the stage with the Newcastle legend?
Can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. It's an amazing opportunity to be sharing a stage on such a big scale. Be an amazing night. I can't wait. Can't wait for the evening itself to get started. But he's a player that I idolized, absolutely idolized before I had a ticket in Newcastle United. When it was like Goldust and you couldn't get in, just like it's getting to the point now as well. And then got a season ticket under Sir Bobby Robson, and then just idolized him. Used to run around the playground shouting "Shearer" when you scored a goal and all that kind of thing. I better not say anything like this on the stage to mine, but I always had number 9 Shearer on the back of my Newcastle United shirts, home and away kits. Just idolized the man. To be able to share and discuss and talk and have a bit crack and just learn more about his feelings and experiences that he's had as a footballer and beyond will just be an incredible evening. And anybody who can get themselves a ticket and get themselves down would be great. All the details there on the website. It'll be a great night, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with anybody who's going to be there on the evening.
Yeah, I would agree. It's going to be a fantastic night. So get your tickets now, 260dinner.co.uk. Liam, thanks for building up the event for us. Thanks for taking time out to share your memories. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care, mate.
Cheers.